Namaste. This is Maya Tiwari with an additional note for women's power to heal Mother Earth, especially for those of us who are in the Womb Shakti medicine program. I want to talk about the moon. We have been experiencing, journeying, learning the phases of Mother Moon, becoming acquainted again with the shaktified power of the lunar orb, and relating these magnificent experiences to our womb as women. There are certain conditions that are natural to the lunar cycle, and they influence our menstrual cycles. It makes sense that if we are so connected to lunar rhythms as women, that our very procreative organ, the womb, the sacred, divine, hallowed ground of our central being, is going to be so powerfully influenced by Mother Moon's rhythms, her cycles, her phases. I encourage us all to put aside the learned behavior, ancestral, scientific, and otherwise. Many of our scientific and ancestral gifts serve us well, and many do not. Modern medicines, scientific medicines, have certainly taken away our reproductive rights and rites of passage as women. And in order to reorder this, to put it back into the centerpiece of our shaktified lives, we need to understand certain basic rhythms that is inherent in Mother Moon and inherent in our reproductive tissues at large in our wombs. This is not an environment that needs to be sanitized, hygienized, fumigated, and otherwise put upon with chemicals and other cleansers. This is the birthing environment. This is the world, the globe, the Hiranyagarbha, as we say in Sanskrit, the embryonic womb of Mother Universe, wherein life is created, wherein our creativity, our powers as women, our shaktified force for healing, the major quantum energy that contains, sustains, nourishes, nurtures, feeds, and informs Mother Earth is continually being revitalized. With this in mind, I ask you to put aside conventional thinking and conventional belief systems. And you don't have to take my word for it either. Your own experience with Uttaravasti, UV for short, will teach you how to realign your cycle with the new moon, how to realize and fulfill your ovulation cycle with Purnima, the full moon, and how in between you can travel in the same journey with consciousness and awareness of Mother Moon's activities within you and around you. I don't want us to introduce anything foreign to the vaginal channel, the Yoni, as it is called in Sanskrit. Yoni meaning that sacred passage. It's not just a sacred passage that belongs to the physiological, psychological, spiritual anatomy of us as women. It is the sacred passage through which all life appears on earth that is in human form. It is the sacred passage through which the earth is maintained and nourished. It is the sacred passage of sentiency. When we're looking at introducing foreign objects like cups and whatever that stays in the vaginal channel, we are interrupting the flow of the vayus, the airs, the pranas. A pana vayu is a downward flowing prana naturally. It influences the womb and our reproductive tissues, as well as our colon, etc., the lower organs. When we have something that's forced up the channel, it vitiates or impairs that prana. Not to mention the Shakti prana, which I have been introducing back into the lives of women that had been long since forgotten, discarded in Ayurveda teachings in the last few centuries after it became clinicalized. But putting Shakti prana back into our thinking, into our foreground, into our mental concepts and thoughts, we can see how that prana circulates our womb. That too will be impinged and impaired by anything like a diaphragm or a cup that we force up the vaginal channel. So there, we don't want to interrupt. Now, when we're using Uttaravasti and we have a nozzle, it is only in there for a very, very short period of time, a matter of minutes, so to speak. It is slim enough to not create any disturbance in the channel. It's also influencing with the water coming in very slow and very gentle movement into the womb. And so we don't have to be concerned and equalize it or compare it to putting in a cup that stays on for days. So I hope you can understand that where I am coming from with this education has to do with what is the most organic, natural, rhythmic, sentient sadhana ways that we as women can nurture our womb. Now there have been questions also about what has become popularized through one older tradition or another, and that is the steaming, the vaginal steaming. Ayurveda does not support this process, and I'll tell you why. For the very simple reason, a very simple reason indeed, that the steam highly affects the pitta flow of our yoni. And then again, the moisture, the kapha flow. And then again, apana vayu, the downward flowing prana or air. And then again, we are not looking at this delicate, exquisite, immutable organ of the yoni as a product or as an inanimate thing that needs to be cleansed and scrubbed and sterilized. We need to shift away from that barbaric set of rules that have used the utilitarian cleansing methodology over medical or neomedical periods, and also in some ancient tradition it was used, but Ayurveda does not support it because it is harsh. It is a way that lacks subtlety, that lacks the communion necessary for information, meaning how we are treating the sadhana or practice, to be informed and to inform the tissues of our yoni. I will get to another situation and question that comes up all the time because of our trained behavior in the scientific, neurotechnological world of thinking. And that is, why can't I have a bath and enjoy scrubbing myself and enjoy lots of watery activities during my menstrual cycle? Well, simply because water is powerful. Water has its own gravitational force. Water influences our apana vayu and our shakti prana as well. And while we are menstruating, we don't want the load, and that is the LODE, the lodestone of water to draw in a way that is not natural to the womb letting go of its lining and flushing itself out. We don't want any interruption whatsoever, not even with the sacred water. I hope that answers your question. And then again, all of the old wives' tale that is associated with our menstrual cycle and being in the kitchen and preparing foods. Well, let me put it to you this way. Ayurveda and the Vedic knowledge and sciences and all native ancient sciences have very little to do with the conventional, backward, old wives' tale that supply us and have brainwashed us for centuries on end. We are not in the kitchen because we live in a community. We strive to remodel this community where our family's involved, where we are involved, our spouses are involved, our children are involved, our parents are involved in the daily rituals of living. And so when we're going through this highly vulnerable, highly sensitized, highly shaktified time with the force power where our whole incredible procreative ability is being renewed by the Shakti power goddess force herself, we need to take time out and let that be what it is without much interruption. Also, that procreative force, power, energy, quantum, whatever that is lying behind the menstruation of our period is so powerful. It is so completely, phenomenally powerful that we don't want that influence to be in our nutrition, in our foods, in the preparation. We don't want to be vitiated in our own mental process as we're cooking while we're menstruating. Does that make sense to you? How could it not? How could we not see this for the gift that it is? That we as women have times when we are to retreat into the solitude of our own primordial shaktified force and be left without being tethered and without being pulled upon and without being plunked into or without any of these appendages that life continually provides us with. Please understand, this is exquisite knowledge of Mother Moon herself, coming to reinform so much of what has been taken from us, so much of what have been deliberately misunderstood, misspelled, mishistory, the miseverything that has supplied us in the last several hundred years. We are here to dance with the moon herself. We are here to be illumined in her consciousness, in her light, in her image. We are her. Be well. And even if you don't understand or believe or subscribe to the understanding I'm presenting here, that too is fine. It is the Vedic way of looking at our lives with the moon as women. Peace be your journey. May you forever be shaktified. May this work help you to heal. and nurture and nourish your sacred anatomy as women. Thank you for listening.